Hi, Mark Gilbert here. Thanks for clicking in. This video is entitled, How Might We Evolve After the Virus? And like all the videos on this channel, it's designed to give us tools and ideas for assisting with our spiritual evolution. Now, obviously, with that title, this video is being filmed during the time of social isolation due to the coronavirus. However, I do believe that the ideas and concepts presented here can be useful at any time in our lives when we're faced with some sort of challenge or change, be it this virus situation or other things such as loss of job, death, divorce, etc. Any change calls forth the same steps that we'll be discussing during this video. You know, we hear a lot right now about the birthing of a new normal. There's discussions about, well, I want to return to normal, but it's not going to be the same normal we had before. I think that most of us recognize at some point that this vast change that's going on right now due to the coronavirus is really moving us into some new territory as humanity. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like on the other side when the new normal is birthed, but we are knowing that something new is coming. What I'd like to offer you in this video is 3 points. 3 points for us to consider when we're birthing something new, such as this new world. The first is not to rush it. That is, to stay in the time of the unknown and to glean its lessons. The second point is for us to not fall into a couple of common traps that are real easy to slip into when we want to return to the normal. And the third is to take some time to really consider what is it that we want to birth? Where are we being called to express our highest and greatest as humanity on the planet right now? So let's look at the point of not rushing it. One of my favorite models for change is the book Transitions by William Bridges. Highly recommend it. Bridges talks about all of the changes in our life having 4 stages to them. There's the birthing of the newness. There's the moving into the full expression of whatever it is that is being expressed in our lives. There is the endings of that where we move through what he calls the void. It's a circle where all things in our life are birthing new, hitting their highest peak, leaving us, and then moving into a space between the old and the new. Bridges points out, and I agree with him, that there is a natural tendency as a human being to want to sit in that space between the ending of the old and the beginning of the new. So here we are, socially isolated. Our lives have been upended. We're sitting at home alone or with very few people. We're interacting with others on Zoom and things like that. And our lives are so totally different, and we want to get back to normal or to some state of normalcy in our life. We want to be able to go to restaurants and the movie and have sporting events on TV and all of the other things that were filling our lives with the value that we had for them before. But now we're in the state of the void. And what Bridges points out is that we don't like it there. We want to rush into the newness. But what he says, and I concur with, is that it's important for us to hang out and see the gifts that are being given us during this time. It's much like when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, and in that larva state in between, where it breaks down and there is a metamorphosis going on, we are in that larva state right now. We are in the in-between what was and what is going to be. And it's uncomfortable, because we don't know what's coming. And as humans, we like a degree of certainty about our lives. But this is where great learning occurs. This is where great experiences come up. It's often referred to the dark night of the soul, where we're delving into the darkest recesses of what it is we need to learn. So we don't want to rush this time too greatly. What we have during this time of social isolation is an opportunity to reflect, to go inward, to meditate, to journal, to ask ourselves the question, what is it that is mine to learn and know at a deeper level during this time? And so for each and every one of us, I call us during this time not to rush through this and wanting to see the newness and the new normal birthed quickly, but to rather take this time of isolation to delve deeply into it and ask ourselves, what for my individual life and collective life do I need to learn at this time? The second point that I'd like to make is that there's a couple of common traps that when the new normal comes back that we'd like to slip into. One of these is that this time of the unknown, this time of the void, is a time that can birth fear in us. As we're sitting in the unknown, we're fearful about what might occur. And we look out at our lives and we see people hoarding things, and we see people who are unemployed, and we see, Congress funding programs that run out of money, and on with all these things that can, at a certain level, instill fear within us. And when fear comes within us, we tend to want to bring that fear with us into the new. We say, how can we position ourselves so that we're not taken advantage of and we're not disadvantaged by whatever comes out of this time of isolation? When the new is birthed, I don't want to be left behind, we may be saying. But in a lot of times, those kinds of reactions are fear-based. They keep us in a sense of separation from one another. They keep us in a sense of heightened competition, where we'll come out of this and start hoarding stuff or wanting to purchase personal weapons and guns of that nature because we see everyone as the other. So one of the great pitfalls that can occur during this time is to slip downward on the evolutionary arc into a sense of separation and fear from one another, of one another. And the other common pitfall is to try to rush back into whatever our lives were like before without any kind of change. To say, here is a snapshot of what my life looked like pro-coronavirus, or whatever challenge we're in the midst of in the void. And here's where I want it to be. I want it to be at the same level, the same stuff. I want to be able to go to sporting events and movies and restaurants. I want to have the same level of income or better. It's easy for us to want to recreate the life that we had before. But what I'm calling you to see is this time is really a time of transition for us. Transition in our individual lives and transition in our common life, our cultural life, our societal life. So that brings me to the third point, is that we really need to look at this and ask the central questions. What is being called forth to be birthed in this moment? What is the kind of world that I want to live in? When I think about my children and my grandchildren and the arc of the future and head of my life, what do I want that world to look like? These are certainly some interesting times that we're moving through due to the coronavirus. We're all noticing that there's a lot of breakdowns going on in many areas of our society's systems. These breakdowns are opportunities for us to look at, have our hearts opened by them, and to also learn and ask the question, what's being birthed here? What is the newer and higher possibility? What is it that we'd like to create where this system is obviously not working well? There is a breakthrough that is being called forth through the breakdowns in many of our society's systems. This includes the ill-preparedness of our healthcare system for a pandemic of this nature, the fact that our states and healthcare providers are in competition for the same limited resources, the fact that many people who are living paycheck to paycheck lose their jobs and their health insurance due to the coronavirus, and now they're unable to feed their families and pay their rent, that we have to have massive bailouts by the government, both of corporations and of people. All of this is an opportunity for us to say, what kind of society would we like to create in the future? Is it one that is prepared for such a pandemic, where people have their basic needs met, where everyone has health insurance regardless of where they work or who they work for? That people put the needs of everyone ahead of corporate needs? I think there are many things that we can look at in our current circumstances that say we can do better as humanity and we can birth the new. But we need to take the time and ask those questions right now. Ask, what is it we'd like to see and do as we move forward into the future? What is mine as an individual in my individual life that I'd like to see? Obviously, this is going to change us each at our individual level. As we move into the state of new normal for yourself, what is that new normal that is being birthed in your individual life? Are there areas of your life where you would like to let go of what you had before because you're now recognizing and seeing that there's a greater possibility for you as you come out of this time of social isolation? And at the higher and larger levels of our society, what is being called forth to be birthed right now too? And what is your role and my role in creating that? You know, everything starts that's in form starts first in consciousness. It starts with an intention and an understanding and a desire of what is being called forth. And I think each and every one of us needs to spend some time during this social isolation and through any void that we may be going through, any change in our lives, and ask what's the greater and higher possibilities. What do you think is the greater and higher possibility for us at this time? What is being called forth to being birthed? And how are we going to evolve after this virus? Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a similar video right here next to my face if you want to click on it. Also, if you want to get notifications of future videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the bottom left-hand corner. If you'd like to contact me, email me at the address on the screen or drop me a comment in the comment field below on YouTube. Thanks.